but this is what they do. I found this actually out the hard way, so I was just at a conference, VPNing back into my university. I just had a couple of scripts that were downloading the content, and suddenly everything stopped. So my network connectivity was gone. Then about 30 minutes later, I got an email from our admin who told me that they are currently under attack, so ICMP flooding against my IP address. So they were not that happy. And since then, basically, I have an agreement that I do not do this too often. So basically, we have, within 50 minutes, we had about 50 million packets from 1,500 sources targeting my IP. Yeah, not very nice. And basically, it is enough if you, I think, send 2 requests to 2 different IPs within 5 or 10 seconds and do this concurrently and repeatedly. Then it starts after a couple of lookups. Another interesting thing is that they are very active in the back end, so they have a very active back end where they repack everything. So every minute the download site changes, so the JavaScript that you can download from the site changes every minute, where they repack everything with a different XOR key, and the actual Storm binary also changes. So these are just MD5 sums of subsequent downloads. This was before the DDoS, where you see some repetitions, but then every couple of downloads, basically the whole MD5 changes, where they also do the repacking. And they also change the version quite frequently, so I've seen sizes between 70 and 160 kilobyte. So they add features, they leave features out. So they have an actual good development team behind everything, I think. Another thing are fast-flux domains. So the idea behind fast-flux is that if you resolve an IP, if you resolve a DNS entry, then basically you normally just get as a return value an A record or at least a couple of A records, and those stay the same most of the time. So if you just do a dig, so just a DNS lookup, for example, for Heise.de, you get, I think, 2 A records back. And if you do this repeatedly after the TTL has expired, then you'll get the same set of A records. But with fast-flux, the basic idea is that they use fast-changing DNS entries. So if you resolve one of those domains, then you'll get a... my network is not working, unfortunately. Basically, if you resolve one of those domains, you get an A record, and if you then do a subsequent resolve, you get another one, and then if you resolve again, you get another one. Probably I can show you this as small demo. Yeah, let's see, Storm. I just need to open this, sorry. Shit, I don't find it. Okay, I'll do the demo later on if we have time. So basically the idea is that they use a TTL of just 5 seconds, and due to caching and everything, you just see a TTL of 0. So if you resolve one of these domains, you get an IP address which points to an infected machine. If you then do a repeated lookup, you get another IP of an infected machine. And if you do this 1,000 times, you probably get about 600 or so different IPs that are then basically pointing to infected machines. And if you contact those, you can contact them on port 80, so they have a web server running. You can request, for example, Sony.exe or file.php. Or the current one is also happy2008.exe. And if you just send this request as a return value, you get the latest version of Storm. And the blue ones, those are currently active. So we have Merry Christmas Dude. This was Mrs. Claus. And then the UF Postcard and New Year's Card 2008. These are the current themes for New Year's Eve. And then these are 2 older ones, so the PTOWL was used during Halloween, and this one also. and those are online now since a couple of months, and happily serving IPs of infected machines, and then also the latest Storm binaries. Okay, what can we expect for the future? So what will 2008 or 2009 bring us? Obviously, I don't know why they do this now, but probably in the future they start using strong crypto. So they should encrypt everything using asymmetric keys, since we could then basically just see what they're doing but do not inject anything or so. They could use signing to verify everything, authenticate everything. So all those strong crypto things that they could implement, I'll think that they'll start using this next year or so. We could, as a defender, then still track the network, but if they change the keys quite frequently or so, we also on the downside. So I think this would make our life a bit harder. And then currently they use these distributed hash tables, so basically some kind of rendezvous point where the attacker basically publishes in advance the commands that the bots should execute, and then the bots search for those commands or search for hashes and then find the commands. So this rendezvous style communication is also not appropriate. I think something like NNTP, so news protocol, this would probably make our life also harder. There are also some other algorithms developed in the fault tolerance community, which could basically make tracking or also taking down mitigation way harder for us. So if they just study the literature and this kind of protocols, the attackers will find plenty of tools or ways to improve their current binary. And then also on the techniques from the cypherpunks. So message routing via Tor is only one possibility, or hosting the CNC server as a hidden server would be another one. So the cypherpunks have also developed very cool techniques for basically resilient communication, so that I can publish something and nobody can take it down. But of course, this can also be abused by the attackers. So, and probably you will see something in the future. Okay, so much from me. More information available at my blog, honeyblog.org. And hopefully in the beginning of January, we'll also have a paper basically detailing everything I talked about, talking in detail about the communication, the searching and everything, where you can read everything. And yeah, and there's of course this cool new book on honeypots, which I could just recommend. Okay, questions for now? I think we have about 5-6 minutes, so should be fine.
A legal question. Because if you have the possibility to analyze during 20 to 40 seconds which IPs are infected, would it be legally possible to counterattack this IP with a distributed denial of service attack? Also is DDoS illegal in Germany?
I don't know whether it's illegal, probably yes, but if you just DDoS, because those are victims, these IPs are not the actual controller, those are just the victims. So if you just DDoS them, you do not gain anything.
Hello. These DNS servers that are serving these DNS domains, that was a pretty short list. Isn't that a weak point as well? Can't they be fixed or in some way?
Okay, these were, I think, only probably 20 or so, even less, and 5 of them are currently active. But so within Fastflux, it's also possible that they host the actual DNS server within the network. So they do not have fixed DNS servers, but the DNS resolvers are basically also part of the network. And since each infected machine also runs the DNS server, they resolve this dynamically. Okay, you could talk to .com, so the TLDs, and then get it shut down, but this is rather hard.
But I mean the NS records for these that are hosted with the TLD main com server, that can't really be Fastflux, or can they update because they can't really update the .com zone in Fastflux?
No, but they do not need to update the .com, but just the pointer to the name servers. So
yeah, but okay, so it's pointed to a static name server. Why isn't that fixed? Okay, so you haven't looked into that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to know, besides the time you need and that their binary and protocol is perhaps a little bit obfuscated. What exactly prevents you currently from shutting down the botnet? Because the authentication doesn't seem to be very well, and you seem to have reverse engineered a lot of parts of the protocol.
Yeah, so as I detailed very briefly, we can basically pollute the space so that a new infected machine will not find or will not receive the commands reliably. But we need to to have this running all the time. And I'm just working at a university, so I'm not a security company, I'm not police, so we just do this for research. But if somebody would want to do this in large scale, I'm more than happy to collaborate. So.
Is there a command where you can shut down the client or the nodes, or can you just say start an attack on this node or start sending spam?
Basically, if you send them some kind of fake executables or something, you get in a very gray area. So there's something, or if you just shut down the binary, it's not possible, and there are legal issues with doing such things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I got a question. What would happen if another very strong botnet would, like DDoS, the central servers of the Stormworm system?
Yeah,
If
there are no
they
real
lose
central
every
servers.
connection to every core server of the Storm system, what would happen?
On the one hand, there are no real central servers because basically it's a peer-to-peer network, so you do not have any central things. There are the servers that the controllers, but those are pretty hard to track down. They change them quite frequently, so it's hard to get to those.
But you guess if it happens one time, what would happen to the whole net? Will the whole net would be instantly shut down, useless?
No, probably not, since if you just DDoS the controllers, they can just change it to another IP or so. And again, legal risks. So.
Do you see any chance that Worm developers would tend to use Web 2.0 mashup services like AppJet or Google Mashup Editor to host their malicious payload
Pardon,
and or?
can you please speak up?
Could you imagine, or have you ever encountered that Worm developers would use Web 2.0 mashup services like AppJet or Google Mashup Editor for storing payload and or Worm logic?
There were some reports by, I think, Panda Labs or so, where they talked about this kind of things, but I didn't see any yet. So,
thanks.
There is no way to track who has. There is no way to track who has registered that domains.
Pardon, please speak up, so it's too noisy.
They use some domains. You have shown the domains they use.
I can't understand you. Sorry.
Hello.
Can we probably take
Microphone
this
close to the
offline
mouse.
and later on? Since I think I need to finish. I think we have only 1 or 2 questions left, and then we probably can talk about this offline.
Is this all?
Okay, then nevertheless, last question, please.
Is this